Here's Frank Turek's advice about how to deal with the straw man atheist professor that exists in his imagination.
A professor is very smart. He's been here a long time. He knows probably what you're going to say. He owns the microphone. He can shut it down at any point. So you don't want to make statements. You want to ask questions. And Greg Koukl has written a fabulous book called Tactics. And in that book, he tells you what questions to ask. So if a professor says something, well, there are no eyewitness details in the New Testament, your question should be, what do you mean by that? What do you mean by eyewitness details?
Well, typically the term eyewitness details refers to accounts written by eyewitnesses. I don't think that a competent professor would say that the New Testament contains none, because Paul wrote some of the New Testament and he talked about some of the things he claims to have directly eyewitnessed. Atheists who know what they're talking about wouldn't say that the New Testament contains no eyewitness details at all. However, they may rightly say that the Gospels contain no eyewitness details because they were not written by eyewitnesses.
Second question, how did you come to that conclusion? In other words, what evidence do you have for your position? Because there's a difference between an assertion and an argument that actually gives evidence for that assertion. So you're asking for evidence as to why you think there is no, or why he thinks there is no eyewitness details or are no eyewitness details in the text. The third question you want to ask is, have you ever considered that Roman historian Colin Hemmer identified 84 of these details just in the second half of the book of Acts? And then just leave it at that.
Well, then I would ask you, Frank, what your definition of eyewitness details is. Some apologists seem to think that if someone writes down someone else's eyewitness account, that document is itself an eyewitness account. It isn't. I can't even find any mention of Hemmer referring to his 84 facts as eyewitness details. What Hemmer actually says is that there are 84 facts in the last 16 chapters of Acts that have been confirmed by historical and/or archaeological research. Confirmed accounts are not eyewitness accounts. Even hearsay accounts can contain corroborable details. That doesn't magically turn them into eyewitness accounts. I'll put a link to these corroborated facts in the description. If you take a look, you'll see that not a single one of them is about Jesus, and none of them lend any credibility whatsoever to the idea that Jesus had magical healing and resurrection powers. To everyone who helps me out on Patreon, you're a big help. Thanks so much.